and welcome to Along the Rock, our podcast that kind of pays homage to the people of the Sauk Valley and the river that runs through it. I'm your host, Mark Morris, and with me today is another author from the Prophetstown area, Elliot Casson. Elliot, thanks for coming up.
Thank you for having me.
And you're a young man, a lot younger than a lot of the people I talk to who are local authors, and there are many local authors, as we were talking about before we started taping. But how did you get into this whole gig?
I think most seriously, like late high school. I used to write when I was like very young, like 10, but then I kind of like lost touch with it for several years, and then like I think it was like senior year of high school when I started like it just kind of came back to me, and then when I started getting serious about it again, and then I took creative writing classes in college and stuff, and that's kind of how that happened.
So do you consider it an avocation now, or a hobby, or
it's
a future career?
Yeah, mostly a hobby right now. I'm hoping, knock on wood, a future career eventually. But yeah, I mean, everything I've done is self-published, so I've sold like a decent amount on Amazon, mostly from like Prophetstown people, because it was like, family shared it on Facebook and stuff, so the word spread. So I sold a lot of copies like when I initially published in the Prophetstown area. Okay.
So do you have a specialty, or do you write about a lot of different things, fiction, nonfiction, so forth?
All fiction. Mainly it's like realistic fiction, sometimes leaning towards like young adult. So my novel, Skywatchers, that's a pretty straightforward coming-of-age story. It's about a brother and sister growing up in a town that I kind of based on Prophetstown.
Yeah, stories about, even for me personally, I've just become real fond of stories about small towns and rural areas.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why exactly, but it just interests me right now.
Me
and
too.
I think there are a lot more being written right now, it seems to me.
Me too, yeah.
So is there something about, a small town, other than that being your experience in real life? Is there anything about that is especially fascinating to you?
I think maybe it just seems very ordinary, and I've always found it kind of like powerful to see just very ordinary life depicted through various kinds of art, and that's kind of how I decided to do. That's kind of how I think I settled with the genre that I write.
Okay. A lot of writers I talk to express some trepidation when they're going to start a book. They talk about, I've got to write, I've got to do this. I'm gonna get to that next week or next month or next school year.
Yeah.
Other authors that I've talked to say, no, I just, I sit down and here come the ideas. Do you fall somewhere in there or somewhere in between?
Somewhere in between. I think the idea for the novel kind of came about naturally because I was like maybe 20 when I started it. So I feel like it just kind of came about through like reflecting about, thinking about the past 19 years.
Sure.
Living in a town that I ended up basing the thing in the story on, Prophetstown.
So obviously you're bringing the perspective of have you always lived in the Prophetstown area?
I've lived in Rock Falls since about 5 years ago, ever since before then, Prophetstown the whole time.
Another small town or city, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You bring that perspective to it. What other things do you count as your, I don't know, what's the word, inspirations, I guess?
Mainly, I think music and movies.
Yeah.
And then also like books too. Those are like the three things I've always kind of connected to, like song lyrics, and then just like it always kind of comes back to finding like things that depict everyday life or can somehow be applied to everyday life, whether that's like a plot from a movie being very simple and realistic or song lyrics that seem to like connect to relatable things.
Join us Friday, April 11th at 6:30 p.m. at the Next Picture Show in Dixon for Chapter and Verse Open Mic Night. Presented by the Radar Free Press and Sauk Creative Writers Group. Enjoy live readings from local authors sharing their works. Authors, pre-register by texting or calling 815-994-8006. Want to sponsor and support events like this? Text 815-200-6404 for more info. See you there.
Okay. Any particular era of movies or TV or music?
Mainly like 90s, 2000s. It seems like that's kind of when it seems like there was like a push toward everyday life being depicted in
Sure.
various kinds of art.
Some would say, and obviously I wouldn't say this because I've already told you I've been very interested lately, especially in stories about small towns and rural country areas. But there are people that say, well, what are you going to write about a small town? They're so boring.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids want to get out of here as soon as they graduate.
Yeah.
You know.
I kind of...
So what do you find about them? What do you find about them that's more interesting than a lot of people might think?
I think maybe city stories, I kind of associate, like stories taking place in a big city, I associate with like glamour or something maybe. And so like I feel small town stuff is maybe more relatable to me. So and then maybe I just kind of assume like people who would read my stuff are in the same ballpark kind of.
I think, well, for me personally, again, you can react to this if you'd like to. People are the same everywhere, but sometimes their secrets are different, and their lives not necessarily that different, except they live in a certain place, or they live in a certain bigger place, or a huge city like New York. Some people have always wanted to live in New York. I've got two brothers there. I'm not sure why they want to live there, but they do, and they always have. But people, I think, are basically the same. That's the way I see it. And in a small town, I guess it's easier to know what people's secrets are.
I would agree. That's well said.
Have you ever read Edgar Lee Masters' Spoon River Anthology?
No.
It's like points that out in a very dark way, I guess you could say, because he's reading and thinking about people who are already in their graves.
Oh yeah.
In the cemetery. So that's an interesting thing about it. Self-publishing. How do you feel about it?
I like it. I think it's very. So I did it on Amazon, which for one, I mean, not as important, but it's totally free. But it's, like for decades, I mean centuries, I guess, people have like solely relied, I think, on like having their stuff be, like noticed by a traditional publisher or whatever. Yeah. So now it's pretty, I feel very fortunate the fact that like things like Amazon exist and are so easily accessible where you can go and publish so easily. It's very simple and I think a very good thing.
And of course they sell millions and millions of things, including hundreds of thousands of books.
Yeah.
But at least it's out there.
Yeah.
Do you do any self-promotion?
Sometimes I think before we started I was talking about the author fair. Like I think that was one thing that was kind of like that.
Sterling Library.
Yep. Yeah. Kind of like got word out in that way. And like when I first published the novel, which was the very first thing I published, then I would share about it on social media. And
So do you find that helps in terms of getting the word out?
Oh yeah, I'd say so.
A lot of authors I've talked to, again, local authors around here in the Sauk Valley, they carry their books around in their car.
Yeah.
Sell them out of their trunk.
Right.
Do you do that?
I haven't done that, but maybe I should.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's a matter of judgment and taste.
Yeah.
Read about it here. Come and get it.
Yeah.
Headlines.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. So, what do you hope to be in another 20 years?
Hopefully doing writing professionally. I don't know if it's realistic to see myself as being like on the level of like Stephen King or something, but I think I'm decent enough at it and still learning that by 20 years, I think I could pull it off.
Okay.
Do it professionally.
It's good to be ambitious. I'm not sure anybody is good enough to be as ambitious as Stephen King is.
Right.
Who's the one that's been helping younger authors now? I know he's a well-known one. His name isn't coming to mind. James
Patterson.
Yeah, he's been putting his picture, his name on the books, and also the name of the person who's also contributed to the work.
Oh yeah.
So that's got to be a big boost.
Yeah.
Maybe you can find somebody like that.
Yeah. Right. That'd be good.
So, Anyway, thanks for coming up, and appreciate
Thank
the
you.
time.
Thank you.
It's been interesting, especially from a younger person. All right. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
As they say in showbiz, break a leg.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we've been talking with Elliot Casson, another local author. I'm Mark Morris, and I'd like to thank Elliot for coming up, and also thank our crew here for making this program possible. I'm Mark Morris, and I hope you can join us next time for another topic, another guest or two on Along the Rock.